Welcome, welcome! This is Mud Dog with the Texas Space Navy bringing you another Star Citizen video, and today we're going to do a podcast. So I have two guests today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Wrathchild.
Welcome, Wrath. And who else do we have today?
This is Captain Jakes.
Captain Jakes. And where are you from, Jakes?
I'm from sunny South Africa.
It's not so sunny right now, though, is it? So I guess it still is. Well, that's good to hear. So, what got you into Star Citizen, Jakes?
Well, all in all, I love for everything sci-fi, and my buddy that decided to let me test the game out on his account, and yeah, I just fell in love.
Awesome. What about you, Wrath? What got you into Star Citizen?
Same man. Just always been a huge fan of space and flight sims in general. And I've always been, like I said, I've always been a fan of Chris Roberts' games as well. Played practically everything he put out, the entire Wing Commander series, of course. And when I saw that this came out, I had to jump.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of Wing Commander. I played it back in 1990 and the early years, and loved it so much that I kept buying all the Wing Commander games and playing them all through. And then when I heard he was doing another game on the Kickstarter, I was like, well, that's cool. And finally, after the Kickstarter, when the game launched a website and all that, I was able to get in and start purchasing my first ships. So that was when I got into the game. So, Wrath, what do you like the most that's in the game right now? Like, what do you like doing the most in game?
Oh, let me see. Probably just some of the missions for the most part. Doing some of the claim jumper. But I really love exploring on MTech. That's where I'm at right now.
I am as well. We're actually, funny story. Let's tell the story. So, we were trying to prepare for this video, and we both flew to Microtech in different ships on different servers, and we both found a patch of land to set down on, and we only ended up, 35 kilometers away from one another? Yeah. Super crazy. I guess we have similar taste.
This area reminds me a lot of some of the areas in Arizona, especially the red areas, some of the red rocks around Sedona. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, I really like the temperate areas here on Microtech. It's one of the prettier planets that they have. So I like coming here to visit often. I wish they had more to do. Hopefully with the next patch we will see all sorts of missions and things that we can do here. Jakes, what do you like most about the game right now?
Oh, so much. The ships, weapons, stuff like the 890 jump missions, and I've even grown to like the claim jumper missions. But yeah, Microtech is amazing. Big fan of Nevsky personally. Just enjoying exploring at this point, like low flying over the planet's surfaces and just finding awesome little surprises.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the exploration part of it too. And most of the community is definitely more about the exploration side of the game from what I have seen. Which is why when the Carrot came out, it was such a huge deal, is because everybody was looking forward to that kind of gameplay and they wanted to have that capability. But right now it's pretty much manual, and that's it for exploration. If you guys had one thing to look forward to when it comes to the exploration part of the game, what would you say that part would be?
Waypoints and north and south directions, cardinal directions.
Yeah, I agree. I think player-made waypoints is going to be super important. I don't know why they don't have it in the game yet. Maybe because I guess because of the iCache system, maybe. Because when they had the iCache system in, it might be easier for them to do the different kinds of waypoints and stuff. I don't know. What about you, Jakes?
I would have to say, yes, I agree with the player set waypoints and obviously being able to have like a compass system on the planet. But more than that, I'm actually looking forward to jump points in different systems.
Yeah, I hope we get to see Pyro before the end of the year. That would be really awesome. That's definitely something that will be really cool if we actually get it in the game this year. Have either one of you seen the latest articles that are out there that are kind of bashing the how much money that Star Citizen's bringing in, and the fact that it's been so long since the start of this whole thing that they think it's a pipe dream and all that?
Oh, I haven't seen any of the latest ones, but it's nothing new, that's for sure.
Right. What about you, Jakes? You seen any of that stuff?
I have, and just don't really care about it. Look, Star Citizen's had a very public development from day one. With being an open alpha and everything, and coming from a dev background, I understand the amount of work that goes into just developing something simple like a pop-up compared to developing what we already have. And also on top of that, they had to start a company from scratch. People don't quite grasp that, and I think Chris Roberts said it the best. It's your armchair developers that think they know better. In my opinion, it's just not how it is. Yeah, it's had its ups and downs, but it's a hell of a lot of work. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 cost more and took longer than what we've experienced, and they didn't have to set up a studio.
Yeah, so both of y'all come from a software development background, right?
Yep.
So you already have some knowledge on the intricacies of development and what it takes to get any kind of software off the ground. If you had some advice to give to new players that don't know much about that aspect of development, what would it be if they're looking to get into Star Citizen?
Somebody was trying to make comparisons.
Well, no, I mean like people who are scared that the game's never going to come out. Maybe they don't want to contribute any money, or maybe they don't want to contribute more money because they're scared that the game's just not going to happen.
I don't know. It would be difficult to put into words how I feel about it. I mean, I'm a true believer. I really think that it's going to come out. I see real progress happening, especially as of late, when they finally went to a more modular code base. But I mean, you really have to point out the fact that some of the mainstream games right now, like if you take RD2 into consideration, that was 7 years, $600 to $900 million estimated total cost, because they won't tell us what it was, up to 1,000 developers at once at one time, with an established code base of console-only code, which is easier to code for, and an established studio base of 8 studios across the globe. Now, when you compare that with Star Citizen, we're probably around, some people are around 10 years into this. Well, how long should it take you to set up the entire infrastructure and develop a code base and hire, developers starting with 3 people?
Yeah, it's an undertaking for sure. I think anybody that's had to build their own company, any kind of company, it takes time to build that out. And I mean, they've got over 500 employees now. They started off with like 6. I mean, they've come a really long ways over a short period of time, relatively speaking, for a company to grow that big on some kind of project like this. What about
how much extra time do you think it should take to establish the entire infrastructure, and the code base?
Right. What about you, Jake? So, I mean, what would you say to somebody that is looking to get involved with Star Citizen in some way, but they're just worried about spending the money because the state of development?
Well, like Raph said, I would point out the fact that, as I also said earlier, it's a case of it's not just, like a normal open alpha. There hasn't been 5, 6, 7 years of hidden development, like with games like Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto and those things. And I would point that out, and also then at the same time remind them that this is an alpha. So if you don't like bugs, you don't like struggling, you don't like getting frustrated, it might not be the best for you, but it is worth it at the end of the day, because you know what, you can go through 2 weeks solid of bugs and have one day that's just absolutely perfect, and it's all worth it.
I know up until this week anyways, this last week, I had only one 30K in all of 3.8, and of course this week I've had quite a few, but so I think they've definitely made strides to work out different kinks in the alpha stage, and you gotta think about it, this game is an alpha, but look at what all's in it. I mean, it's ridiculous what all you can do in an alpha stage of the game. It's, to me, yeah. So let's talk about that. What do you consider an alpha stage of a game? I mean, a game like Star Citizen, I know kind of what they're thinking as far as alpha and beta, but what do you guys think alpha means, and what do you think this game's going to look like when it gets to beta?
Go ahead.
Jake's?
Well, alpha to me is proof of concept. So, like, all these guys complaining there's not enough content and everything, there's not going to be enough content for now. It's just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast. And alpha is every little thing you're bringing in for a very good reason, and that's to prove that this technology or that technology will work with all the other technology that they have developed from nothing. And once we hit beta, that's going to change. That's when you're going to start getting massive influxes of content, huge changes to mission types and all-around gameplay in general. So yeah, that's the big difference to me. Is alpha is your let's make sure all the cool stuff works, and beta is where it's like, okay, let's make sure all the cool stuff works with all the new missions that we're going to add and roles.
Right. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. I see the alpha as obviously, they are trying to get all the features implemented as far as the back end stuff. How does this stuff work, etc. And then beta is putting in all the content because the features work already.
Right. Well, let's split feature and content. Some folks don't understand that. A feature is something that, so say you got something that works on a particular ship. They're not like the customization options on the 325 series. The reason that they haven't extended that out to all the other ships is because that's content. They have tested the feature in alpha. They know the feature works. And when we get to beta, they will expand that content to the other ships.
Great point. Jake, do you have anything to add to that? I mean, that's perfect.
Well, I mean, that's it.
Sorry, that's beautifully said. That's actually spot on.
So that's the reason why people run. Well, why can't I customize this ship? Why can't I do this thing? Why does this not work with its other ship? Well, because they haven't extended this isn't beta yet. They haven't extended that feature out to content to the other ship.
Yeah, so they once they get the feature done, they're going to move on to another feature and get it put in, and then move on to another feature and on to another feature, and then they will flesh all those features out as far as the content for them when we get towards a beta stage. So these missions and stuff that we have in the game right now are technically still alpha missions. They put them in the game to test the mission system out. Sorry, that was my wife texting. But yeah, to test the mission feature out and the different kinds of mission features, what they can do with those features. Then we'll see probably thousands more missions in the game in beta, because they'll have pretty much an automated system that will be able to put those missions in play on the fly. At least that's the way I understand it. Have y'all heard anything different on that?
Not myself.
I think the biggest thing for the new, like the missions and that they're going to be adding is probably the quantum.
Oh, the Quantanium fuel?
No, like the Tony Z's.
Oh, Quanta. Yeah.
Quanta, there we go. That is going to be probably the biggest influx of content we're going to get for that we could probably imagine, because that's going to be spawning random missions continuously in random places. Well, not so much random, wherever demand and flow lines and everything are, but I think that is going to add massive gains to the content level of Star Citizen.
I'm crawling through the brush in here. You can hide pretty well on MTech's surface here.
Yeah, well, it's super dark right now, so it's super easy to hide in here. You didn't take a rover from your ship to mine, did you?
Somebody just flew over me.
Really? Interesting. This is actually a super Earth planet, so it's really massive as far as planets are concerned.
I must be Captain Jake.
Yeah, he probably knows where you're at. So, is there anything you guys have heard that's going to be in the game that you're not too thrilled about?
Oh, probably some of the, for me, probably some of the extensions of the food and drink stuff. I thought that it was actually going to be kind of ancillary, a nice to have.
Totally agree.
Going to be brought into it, so you're gonna have to keep drinking, keep eating, keep your health up, etc.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that is. Okay, so I have two minds on it. I don't want it to be Eat Citizen, where I'm having to eat all the time, and I don't think it's going to become that, because it's like we're talking about the alpha thing. I think they're going to overdo it at first so that they can test the feature with plenty of reps, and then they can cut back on it once they see that the feature works or see how it works, so that they can tweak it and stuff. So I honestly think that they're not going to make it that simmy. Now, I could be wrong, but I would agree with you. The first implementation that they're talking about putting in, I am completely against. I don't want to have to sit down and eat, once or twice every play session. I think that's kind of ridiculous. We're on here to play. We want to play the game. We want to enjoy the game. Now, if you just are somebody that enjoys sim eating, I guess it's for you, and you could just engorge yourself. But
there should be consequences for that. You end up like Mr. Creosote.
Right? Your armor doesn't fit anymore. You have to go to the toilet then. Yeah. What about you, Jake?
I wouldn't mind making it for buffs, stuff like that. But at the same time, people will be buffing up, and up until the point the buff won't work anymore. You've buffed out.
Well, they should have a cap on the buff.
Right.
For sure. And I think they were talking about having a cap on the negative effect as well. Like, it's not going to get worse than that. But then again, they just said that if you don't eat, you will die eventually. So I guess it won't go so... there's still going to be a negative effect. There goes Jake's flying over.
Just some entertainment.
I think you know, with 3.9 and 4.0 coming out, there's some features there that we should probably talk about. What feature expected this year? Let's break it open even further than just 4.0. What feature this year, other than Pyro? We know that we're looking forward to that. But what feature this year are you guys looking forward to that we haven't discussed?
Mercury Star Runner.
So you're looking for the Mercury Star Runner. That's what, 4.0 or 4.1?
4.1.
Okay.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, probably myself, just being able to go to other systems. If we end up with that this year.
I think the ship docking is going to be huge. Ship-to-ship docking and ship-to-station docking. Because once they have that implemented, we're going to have the Hull C. We're going to have possibly the Idris, though everybody doubts that'll come before we have Squadron 42. But hear me out. The Hull C is already completed, and Squadron 42 is expected to be in beta in third quarter. Well, 4.1 isn't expected until the third quarter either, and that's where ship-to-ship docking and ship-to-station docking comes in. So we may get the Idris in player hands before the end of the year. What do y'all think of that?
That would be sweet.
So I know, Wrath, you're concierge, right?
Yeah.
Jakes, are you concierge? Have you spent $1,000?
No, I'm just over halfway.
Okay, so every month they do like a concierge thing where they kind of sneak peek the next thing that they're putting out. This month we're going to be expecting something from Origin. A lot of people are speculating it could be the rover because they talked about doing the Origin rover, or it could be a brand new ship. What do you guys think is going to be the next ship that they put in the game?
Oh man, that's a lot of speculation there.
Hey, we got to have a speculation time during this podcast. We got to.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the rover is probably a pretty good bet because they may need that for Squadron 42.
Maybe. What about you, Jake? Do you have any thoughts? I know you haven't even seen the screenshot, probably, or the write-up on it, most likely.
I've seen a little bit of,
Speculation?
how should we say, leaked speculation in that. But I think they're going to come out with something we're not expecting. So I can't remember on whose video it was, but someone was speculating the Crusader, the Ares. With the Idris mission coming in, we might see the Ares a lot sooner than anyone is expecting.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
I saw that too, but from what I've heard, Crusader's first ship is going to be the Star Runner, and then they will probably do the Hercules before they get to the Ares. But that's just what they've said, is that they're going to do the... I mean, they always come out with a surprise ship, right? As far as the Origin thing, it could be the rover, but hear me out on this one, Wrath. Since you kind of know well, both of y'all probably know the reward system. So, Legatus Navium, they just updated the reward system. They no longer get just the F8C Executive Edition of the Lightning. That's now Praetorian level, but now they get the 600i Executive Edition. What if the Origin ship that they're talking about in this leak is a 600i Executive Edition? It wouldn't take long for them to just redo some of the internals with the 600i, right? And it kind of fits the description of what they were talking about because it's based off the Explorer model of the ship. I mean, what's the possibility that could be it?
Well, I suppose.
No, I reckon it's a good possibility. Also, the picture they used, I think it was in last month's, where it's clearly the the bridge of either a 600 or a
890, right?
90. Yeah, I'm not expecting a rover. I'm expecting a ship. Definitely a ship, personally. And I think your idea with the 600 is maybe quite possible. 'Cause the interior does need a rework, in my opinion. I think it'd make a lot of the backers happy if they did do it.
Well, the only problem with it being maybe a 600 executive is that you have a very limited amount of players that are going to have that ship. So that's the only thing that I find hard to put my mind on is why would they make a ship that only, probably less than 1,000 people will have. Of course, they have the Scythe too, and probably less than 1,000 people will own that one.
There's always the possibility of both.
If they're redoing,
Rover.
if they're redoing the 600 series a little bit, then that may make more sense. But they would re-release the 600s, as redone and whatnot. Ooh, that's a bright light. Coming aboard?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I think that's a possibility. I do think the rover's probably the most likely scenario, just based off of we need another rover in the game. Right now, Ursa's owning the game on that. So what else would you guys like to talk about in our inaugural podcast? I do have one more thing we need to talk about. And I think Wrath will agree with me on this one. So our org has been growing a lot here lately by leaps and bounds. And we have teams all over the world at this point. We got guys in New Zealand, guys in Australia, guys in Europe. And of course, Jake's is from South Africa. These guys will play on our Saturday night games at the same time as we do here in the States. So in some cases, like for Jake's, that's 4 o'clock in the morning. For some of our guys that are in Australia and New Zealand, that's in the afternoon for them. But we have decided that we need to have just more than the leadership that we have right now, which is me, Wrathchild, and Dex. So we're looking to build up our officer units. And we have some people in mind. We're going to grant the officership to a lot of different people. And we are starting off with Jake's. So congratulations, Captain Jakes. You are our first officer in the org, with many more to come. So congratulations and welcome to the ranks of, well, you're not getting paid, but you're still an officer.
Wow, thanks, man. I'm pretty speechless. It's an honor. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I salute you from afar.
Yeah, we're trading salutes right now. So I think that's a good time to end this first podcast. I really appreciate Wrathchild and Jake's joining me on it. I think Wrathchild, we're going to try to have you be my co-host on these going forward, and then we'll get some more guests in as we go. Do you guys have any things you want to mention before we sign off?
Oh man, I'm glad to have Jake's on the ranks of the officers in the org. I think it was definitely time. Jake's, your enthusiasm, your participation, and especially your input were the reasons that we wanted you to be an officer. And having you in another time zone, that was a secondary thing. That's a nice to have, but it wasn't really among the main criteria that you were considered for.
No, you definitely deserved it. Yeah, you definitely deserved it, regardless of time zones.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. It really means a lot. I love this game, and it's been so much better since I've been hanging out with you crazy bunch and having a absolute blast every weekend with you guys. So yeah, that's a massive honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, all right, guys. I'm Mud Dog. That's Wrathchild, and that's Jakes with the Texas Space Navy, and we will see you guys out in the verse.